Fordham women's basketball is back in action today at 1 p.m. in the Ocean State as they take on the Rhode Island Rams. Fordham is looking to get back on track after dropping one at home against the Duquesne Dukes, where they fell 80-67. Last time out, transfer forward from Miami, Lucretia Edwards led the way with the career-high 24 points from the bench, while Corinne Easley also posted 11 of her own. They will face an A-10 leading Rhode Island team with a 14-1 in-conference record. However, that one loss came last game against the LaSalle Explorers, where they fell 59-63. Star guards Brooklyn Gray and Sophia Vital were held to a combined 11, while Albina Silla posted a team-high 16. With Fordham missing 4 players last time out, someone will have to step up and pave the way. Will it be a defensive masterclass like we saw against St. Louis 2 games back, or a scoring bonanza? It is the weekend. It's Saturday. It's almost March. And it's Fordham women's basketball in the Battle of the Rams coming up on WFUV Sports. Good afternoon as we welcome you inside the Ryan Center at the University of Rhode Island for A-10 women's basketball. I'm Dominic Sansone, joined alongside Thomas Tisdale. Fordham on a 7 of 8 skid, looking to get back on track. They'll get the likes of Alexis Black and Precious Omashola back tonight. How can they get back on track, though?
It's going to be really difficult. As you mentioned, Fordham in a bit of a lull in terms of getting results in Rhode Island. Certainly knows how to get results. They come into this game 23-3 on the season and 14-1 in the conference. And if you told me last week, if you asked me if Fordham had a chance to win tonight, I'd say it's going to take a miracle. But we saw on Wednesday Rhode Island dropping that game to LaSalle. Fordham has a chance today to knock off Rhode Island, the number 1 seed, and Fordham is going to take a gargantuan effort for the Rams to pick up the win.
Yeah, and they can do it. It's the A-10 conference. It's super competitive. Any team on any given day can win. Obviously, this Rhode Island team dropped one on the road. Fordham now coming in to Rhode Island's house. They'll have the chance to do exactly that. We're going to step aside for the national anthem. We had a chance to talk to head coach Bridgette Mitchell for the Fordham Rams. Take a listen to what she had to say.
Nothing.
Such as then was too easily accessible. It's like I have to.
There was when Carino traveled with us your first year, he actually ranked the popcorn at every.
Really?
As we went to all the conference schools, I got after the list.
Yeah.
So he did do a whole one every game.
That's funny.
All right, perfect. Let's rock. Coach, familiar opponent today in Rhode Island. You played them less than a month ago. Last time out, you limited their leading scorer, Brooklyn Gray, to 5 total points. How do you ensure that happens today as well?
Yeah, we're definitely looking to continue to be aggressive on the defensive end. I think that that game as well as this game, we're going to look to double in the post. And so instead of her getting those easier scores because she's a bigger guard, we're going to look to disrupt that a bit. And so we're going to keep that same game plan from that perspective. But this time around, we're going to look to try to limit the touches of others. So denying them the ball a little bit more and being aggressive in that way.
Slow start last time out against URI, and it forced you to play catch-up for the rest of the game. How do you get your offense in a rhythm early in today's game?
Yeah, gotta hit shots. Like that's what it comes down to. They gave us a lot of opportunities to get downhill on drives, and we watched the first game together as a team. It's just like a review. That's typically what we do, and we saw how many times it was just one pass into a shot. Our shots were way too quick. We have to reverse the ball. We have to get some movement, and that will allow us to score a bit easier in the start of the game, as you mentioned.
Yeah, your Rams are 3rd in the conference in steals. Rhode Island's 12th, so huge edge there. What will be the approach defensively, though, to force some turnovers against the Rhode Island team that's good with the ball in their hands?
Yeah, I think that, we're obviously battling injuries in the minutes and all those things. We are still going to press, though, and I think that ours is going to come in the half court rather than the full this game, and we just have to be the aggressor, and I think that comes from us trapping, and so we're going to look to do that early.
Rhode Island does a great job keeping opponents off the offensive glass. What's the game plan for getting your second chance points?
They're all right. We're going to crash. Yeah. They're all right keeping people off the glass. No, we have to crash. They're really good at transition offense, and so we have to have a person or two back, which is only going to leave 3 players to crash. So we really just got to make sure we go and get the ball.
Perfect. Thank you, Coach. Dominic Sansone and Thomas Tisdale.
Thanks, guys.
And we are moments away from tip-off here at the Ryan Center. We welcome you back. As you just heard, Coach Bridgette Mitchell stressing the importance of that half-court press and a little bit of that half-court trap. Even down numbers, they're still going to rely on that trap defensively.
Yeah, defensively, we called the game against Duquesne last Saturday, and Duquesne shot the ball incredible day from behind the arc, shooting 50%, knocking down 11 of their 22 three-point attempts, but Duquesne just came alive in that third quarter, and for 4 in the Battle of the Rams, they're going to have defensive effort as they look to pick up the win.
Yeah, defense is where it definitely starts. Last time out, they fell by 14 points. It was 61-47. They got in an early hole, though, that they really couldn't crawl out of. They always were within striking distance, and Rhode Island would throw that left-hand jab to keep them at bay. And we spoke with Coach before the game. To the viewer, it didn't seem like it, but they're going to have a chance again here today on the road to get within striking distance, and it ultimately comes down to making shots. She spoke about it. She's going to rely on her shooters. Out of the boot, she was Katos, and it's controlled by Anastasia Veljovic brings it up the floor with Katos, and it's controlled by Anastasia Veljovic brings it up the floor with Karen Easley. Now it's Nienkin on the wing. The give and go with Veljovic. Veljovic working to her right. Back to Easley. Veljovic working to her right. Back to Easley. Off the screen. The floater. Too strong. Off the iron. Rebound by Silla. Vital now up the court. Pushing the pace. Kick to the corner. A nice three-pointer from Dubraz is on the way. And it's off the mark. Silla. Top of the key. Now back to Dubraz. Still with it now. The feed down low. Silla. Spin move away from Wilson Saltos. Feed down low. Silla. Spin move away from Wilson Saltos. Rebound is controlled by Karen Easley. She's pushing the pace back the other way around Sophia Vital, and Fordham gets the opening basket. 9-10 into this one.
Great start for the Fordham Rams. Strong defensively, and then they're able to turn the turnover into easy buckets.
Silla down in the post, swinging it around. Now it's Silla at the elbow, gives it to Gray off the screen, working to her right, spin move, gets it to fall. Up and over to Yenkin for a nice mid-ranger.
Gray's going to love to see that one fall. She only had five and Fordham's going to have to find a way to keep her off the score.
And Easley is hurt. Yeah, it looks like she's limping.
Fordham coming out of the break with a little bit of emphasis and motor and just an ideal start for Fordham.
Easily defending DeBraz. Looking much more comfortable on that right ankle than when she was sent off. And another turnover. This time it was Silla looking to Harris. And Rhode Island not taking care of the basketball early.
Had to win to just the way she's able to impact the game with her skills.
So Rhode Island a little bit different of a lineup now. It's Habib. Mbu, Gray, Vital working against Easley. Mbu, catch and shoot. Minimal hitch, rebound by the 5'5" Easley. Easley is going to be called for a travel after the give and go with Edwards. So turnover number 3 for Fordham.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate. Acceptable those travel calls at time. I'm not sure what the fix is, to be honest, but you just got to find a way to limit those unforced turnovers.
Rhode Island's offense been cold the last 3:30. No points, and here is another turnover. And Vanessa Harris yet again careless with the basketball. So third turnover attributed to her.
Yeah, Nienke did a great job.
performances for both teams, but I think if you're either team in this one, Maroon in the second. They trail 19-12, 4:39 to go.
Yeah, Fordham, like we said, and this was a problem in the first matchup. These scoring droughts, and then Rhode Island capable of going on these runs, and that's just what makes this Rhode Island team so great, and the 26th ranked team in the nation.
Yeah, we talked about that. They were receiving votes prior to that LaSalle game. No ranking yet coming out. As Black works to her left and gets the right-hand floater. Fordham ends that scoring drought of 5 minutes.
Incredibly tough bucket for
Scylla gets the board, and Fordham just getting outsized down there in the paint by Michelle and Scylla, 6'5" and 6'4" respectively.
Rhode Island about middle of the conference, middle of the pack in offensive rebound, but it really baffles me considering how large their line still is 5, and Fordham just their next tallest person is Preston Mashola at 6'2", and just that size advantage just makes it very difficult for Fordham to try to keep Rhode Island off the glass.
Rhode Island, a little bit of a storyline here developing. 1 of 12 beyond the arc, but M.A. Michelle grabs the rebound, immediately turns it over, easily pushing the pace. Hammers the brakes, still scanning for options. Now it's Niankin over near the Rhodey bench. Kick out to Black. Her and Niankin not really on the same page there. She directs traffic. Hill. Niankin on the post, working on the bigger Scylla. And she's going to get called for a foul there. Her first personal.
And we were talking about how Rhode Island receiving votes in the Associated Press poll. And this game, it's not just about getting the win. It's about making a statement and getting a win over a Fordham team that has struggled to get results at times. And Rhode Island, if they want to keep their chances of an at-large bid alive, they really need a strong, convincing win today.
Easily to inbound on the baseline. Kick out to Barry. Handing it off. Back to Easley. Working around Michelle, trying to use her speed. She got around, but just too much size under the rim for Rhode Island. Up the court, it's Vital. Hand off to Scylla, and just like we spoke about, Rhode Island starting to use more of that size.
Yeah, I mean, she just towers over all of the Fordham Rams, and those buckets just could not come easier. It's like watching Victor Wembanyama play for the San Antonio Spurs. As an offensive foul called against Fordham, you just really can't afford to have those as they look to make up ground.
Yeah, ugly start here in this second quarter. We talked about it. Playing 4 complete quarters, and the kryptonite kind of showing here in the second. Fordham only 4 points to speak of in this quarter, and not to mention they've given up 14 already. 2:56 to go. Vital. Ojeda in the corner, and it's turned over. Last touched by Easley.
Fordham's just got to find a way to get back to forcing turnovers. Rhode Island's really cleaned up their act here in the second quarter, and especially for the past 5 or so minutes, and Fordham's just going to have to find a way to get those easy fast break points.
Getting back into that trap look gave Rhode Island some problems. Don't want to obviously gas yourself out, but down 8 here, might want to resort back to that. Michelle to Vital. Shake, bake, gets to her right hand, off Scylla, rebound, puts it through. Scylla domination in the past 3 or 4 possessions for Rhodey.
Yeah, she's got 9 points already, and Scylla just, Fordham's got to find a way to slow her down if they want to win.
Wilson Saltos did check back in for Fordham, probably to counter, but really nothing to speak of. Niankin grabs her own rebound, fouled by Michelle. She'll head to the line for 2 with 2:12 remaining.
That's the kind of effort it's going to take for Fordham to pull a little bit closer to this Rhode Island team. Sure, the shots aren't all going to fall at once, but it's how many second chance points can you get on the offensive glass, and if you can follow up your own miss, it's a really strong, encouraging sign for this Fordham team.
Yeah, as mentioned before, Fordham playing as advertised with their offensive rebounding, but shots just not dropping in the second. The field goal percentage really poor this quarter, 18.2% from the field.
Have yet to hit a three, and we've been highlighting Rhode Island's sort of just inability to knock down their shots from behind the three-point arc. But at some point, Fordham, after having a really historic day against Duquesne, has got to find a rhythm if they want to claw back into this one.
Yankin shooting right around 68% from the line. Misses her first, knocks down her second. 24-15 Rhode Island, and here comes that trap look that we were just mentioning. Dubras off to Mbu. Vital, top of the key to Silla. Playing like a stretch five now. Not a three-point shooter by any metric. That's Silla. Down into the corner. Mbu working on Black. Left hand off the side of the glass, and it's rebounded by Alexis Black. Quickly up the floor to Edwards, and another turnover for Fordham. Able to get the stop and can't make it happen in transition.
You really understand the urgency from Alexis Black there. Fordham trying to get back into this game, trying to establish a little bit of a tempo, but at some point, too fast is really costly to your team, and Fordham just needs to get anything going on offense. Doesn't necessarily matter how quickly they do it.
Vital, Mbu, Gray, 14-footer near the Fordham bench. It's off. Rebound Silla, and another foul. So Fordham not boxing out Silla, and it's really starting to hurt him.
Yeah, there are three Fordham Rams down there low trying to get the defensive rebound, but Silla just towering over them, just puts her hand and is able to knock it and draw the foul. And Fordham's just got to find an answer for her. Brooklyn Gray, they're doing a great job limiting her, but Silla is the one killing them right now.
Do you maybe consider a double team at some point on her down there in the post? I mean, she mentioned they did want a double team in the post with Gray, but now you might look at Silla and say, hey, time to make her be agile with the ball in her hands. She is 6'5" after all.
I think you got to consider all options, and Fordham, we see them using that zone look a lot, and they got to find a way to force the ball out of Silla's hands. But most importantly, they got to find a way to keep her off the glass. That is where she's hurting Fordham.
Silla 1 of 2 at the line for that trip for Rhode Island. 25-15, 1 minute to go in the quarter. Alexis Black from the elbow, off the mark. Rebound by the smallest player on the court. It's Sofia Vital. She's been all over the glass. 4 rebounds so far. Silla working on Wilson Saltos. Left hand hook. Off. Again, another offensive rebound for Rhodey. Coach Bridgette Mitchell just furious. Cannot understand why her team is not boxing out. Vital, 7 on the shot clock. 3 consecutive moves in and out of the legs. Brooklyn Gray heaves one up, and it's off the mark, so Rhode Island will turn it over.
I mean, strong defensive possession from Fordham to force a heave at the end of the shot clock there, but Silla was in a great position to get the offensive rebound. So Fordham, with 20 seconds left in the second quarter, they've got to go into halftime with an answer.
14 seconds, shot clock is off. Tia Morgan near the media booth, guarded by Brooklyn Gray. Now it's Wilson Saltos backing down Silla. Left hand off the mark, and it was Silla trying to grab the board again, but goes off her fingertips.
Yeah, Fordham has about 1.7 seconds left to get off one final shot and to go into the break with a little bit of momentum.
Black to inbound, kicks to Edwards. The shot on the way is off. Rhode Island 25, Fordham 15. 5 lonely points for Fordham in the second quarter.
That first quarter went as good as you could have hoped if you're Coach B. They kept Rhode Island quiet from behind the arc. Rhode Island was quiet in the paint, and Fordham was knocking down shots. But then in that second quarter, it sort of mirrored what we saw in that first quarter in the first matchup earlier in the season. And Fordham just has to find a way to knock down. It's okay to give up 17 points in a quarter, but Fordham just has to find an answer for them offensively, and a lot of missed easy shots that you would expect Fordham to knock down.
Yeah, if you give up 17, you certainly can't score 5 in a quarter. We talked about it the emphasis on playing 4 complete quarters the way that Fordham wants to. It's just been a struggle all year long in that second quarter, a little bit of a lapse. Thankfully for Fordham, they're only down 10, and Rhode Island only has 25 points on the game. So very much within striking distance.
Yeah, I mean, and they just have to find a way to keep Albina Silla off the glass because she's just been a one-man wrecking crew for Rhode Island.
Yeah, Silla's been fabulous, and last time Fordham was playing Rhode Island, they were at home. Very similar story, just Rhode Island able to keep that jab and keep them at distance. And we bring you back inside the Ryan Center. Rhode Island up 25-15 at the half. Just a poor shooting performance out of Fordham in the second quarter.
Yeah, I mean, poor is a little bit of an understatement. It's been pretty disastrous for the Fordham Rams so far here today in Kingston, Rhode Island. And after shooting pretty lights out against Duquesne, unable to pick up the victory last time out on Saturday, they've just come in here and they've come in ice cold, and especially in that second quarter, 5 points in a quarter and 10 minutes of
from the field, 17 minutes, really took over the paint, just bullying Wilson Saltos and Barry down low, resulted in 11 offensive rebounds for Rhodey.
Yeah, that's really killer for Fordham. That's where they pride themselves on, is offensive glass, is getting rebounds off the offensive glass, and to be, impaled by your own sword, it really hurts if you're Fordham. If you're trying to get back in this game, like you said, you've got to limit on the offensive glass. And she's just and part of that is due to her size, but Fordham's just got to find ways to throw different looks at her, whether that's a double team, whether that's man-to-man, whether that's help defense. I'm not sure what that looks like, but you have to switch things up because something's clearly not working.
Rhode Island with the exact same starting lineup, and Boo, Silla, Gray, Vital, and Dubras. Fordham counters with something in the same likes. It's going to be Easley, Morgan, Edwards, Wilson, Saltos, and Valjevic. We are back underway here in the third quarter as Vital gets the inbound. Silla, top of the key to Gray on the elbow. Defended by Easley. Wilson Saltos defending Silla. There's the double team, and Valjevic gets the steal. And it is out of bounds near that Rhode Island bench. Last touch by Fordham.
Valjevic a little unlucky not to come away with that one, but that's what we're talking about. You got to throw different looks at Silla, and the help from the blind side there really limits her impact.
Silla down low, gets around Wilson Saltos. Too easy there. They did a good job with that double team, and I think they'll stick with that, but just a lapse of focus there, and Rhode Island finds the first points of the third quarter.
Just a really quick post move there from Silla, and Fordham just too late with that double team.
Morgan with it now. defended closely by Dubras. Wilson Saltos at the elbow to Veljovic. She works to her right. Edwards wanted it, doesn't get it. Veljovic goes up to the rim, off the mark, gets her own rebound, and it's off again. Rebound by Scylla. Dubras pushes the pace, and Karen Easley takes a charge. Got her feet planted, and it's another turnover for Rhode Island.
Yeah, it looked like Dubras was going to have an easy layup there, but Karen Easley puts her body on the line, takes the charge, and that's a big turnover for Fordham. They just have to find a way to unlock this Rhode Island defense. Rhode Island just stymieing any momentum that Fordham's got.
Easley, very physical, taking charges, ankle issues, and she finds Edwards on a cutting pass, and it's her second travel of the game. Coach Mitchell telling her, put the ball on the floor.
Yeah, you want Edwards to get going, but you just can't turn the ball over like that. And again, Fordham just not able to get anything going on the offensive end, and they just have to pick up momentum.
Last game out, 50% the Rams beyond the arc. Mainly from Lucretia Edwards, though. She put up a career-high 24 points against Duquesne. Not the similar story today. Scylla in the post. There's the double team from Veljovic and Wilson Saltos. And Mbu works on Edwards. Moving around, gets a rebound, off the mark. Rebound by Mbu again as Veljovic crashes to the floor. Possession arrow Fordham. Really physical play there from the Canadian out of Mississauga.
Fordham knows they're going to have to bring the intensity, and we saw the double team again there, and URI a little bit lucky to pick up those 2 offensive rebounds, but just a scrap on the floor for the ball. That's what Fordham is going to have to do. They have to win the 50-50s.
Easily up the floor, and it's Veljovic now near the bench. Working on Gray, stepping back, still with it now. Edwards to Easley in the corner. Gets the screen from Wilson Saltos, still with it. Easley, floater, off. Really a contested look there. Brooklyn Gray to Vital, working on Edwards. Got the speed advantage and uses it.
Yeah, just beautifully just sped past Edwards there, able to get her body in front of Edwards, and then just an easy layup, and another turnover for Fordham.
And again, not the start Fordham was looking for. They're down 14, and Sophia Vital will head to the line at 67%.
You really appreciate the effort that Fordham has shown so far in the third quarter, but the execution being a couple of careless turnovers, one to travel, one just bringing it up the floor, and Rhode Island doing a great job turning those turnovers into points, and Fordham is just going to have to find a way to get into their half-court set a little bit earlier in the shot clock. Karen Easley, a contested floater with 5 seconds left. That's just not going to cut it if Fordham hopes to claw their way back into this one.
Yeah, and that first possession, they did a good job with that double team. Opportunity to really do anything, but since then, it's just been turnovers that have resulted in fast break points. Not really anything you can do there to defend Scylla. And Fordham now down 15, 7:04 to go in the third quarter. Tia Morgan working to her right, gets it up to Black. Easley. Wilson Saltos now working against Scylla. Gonna ISO. She goes in, drives. Layup is off. Rebound by Vital. Vital cutting around, slicing. Dubras. Mbu. Gray charging in. And an offensive foul I think they're going to get here on Rhode Island. They are.
Yeah, Scylla looked like she was jostling for position there, but Brooklyn Gray had a wide open layup, and Fordham a little bit lucky and fortunate to come away forcing a turnover.
Yeah, Brooklyn Gray had probably 2 points in the bag there. Full head of steam and nobody to stop her towards the rim. But no points so far for Fordham in the third quarter. 3:30 into it. Now it's Easley handing it off for Barry. It's Alexis Black. 10 seconds on the shot clock. She works to her right, defended by Gray. Now the step back jumper is off as she reaches down to tie her shoe. Thought it was an ankle issue. She's okay. Easily uncorks from the wing, and that one is off. Ice cold for Fordham. And Boo, the kick out to Vital. Now it's Scylla. She's doubled. Omashola now in there for Fordham. Her first minutes coming off an injury. Vital down low, and Barry picks up a blocking foul with 5:39 to go.
Yeah, going back to that last Fordham possession, I think every Fordham fan held their breath there when Alexis and looked to be examining her left ankle. That's the ankle that's been giving her problems all season, but it's good that she was just only tying her shoes. But Fordham just discombobulated on the offensive end, and Alexis Black, a little bit rusty, just hasn't been able to knock down the shots and keep Fordham in this one.
Yeah, their defense has been there. Rhode Island, very potent team, putting up right around 60-plus points a game, and they're on track for much less than that. So Fordham got to get the shots to go. It goes here for Tia Morgan on the catch-and-shoot 14-footer. Dubraz and Boo, and now Vital. All the way back into the far corner. Vanessa Harris back in this one. Defended by Omashola, and a beautiful lay-in that rattles home.
Beautiful finish there for Vanessa Harris, and Fordham finally able to knock down a shot, but they've just got to find a way to hit those shots and also get a stop. It's a
double-edged sword in a way. You got to get the stop and the score, but only able to get one of those, you're not going to be successful. Now it's Alexis Black working in. The floater is good. Just inside the free throw line A10 logo. And Fordham back-to-back possessions with scores. Moving in the right direction. 4:26 to go. Rhode Island 32, Fordham 19. Vanessa Harris from the corner uncorks one. And there is Rhode Island's second three-pointer of the game.
Yeah, just killer for Fordham. Finally able to get something going offensively, but Rhode Island and specifically Vanessa Harris able to answer right back.
Yeah, Harris, a little bit of a ugly first half. 3 turnovers from her and 2 fouls, so not what she was looking for. Alexis Black trying to get one up and over Vanessa Harris. It's off from the far wing as Mbu carries it up now. Defense, and it rattles home. 37-19, Rhode Island has exploded.
Have an answer very similar to that Duquesne game where Duquesne just were able to light them up for 29 points, and Rhode Island on a similar pace here.
Fordham 0% beyond the arc. Just unable to get anything to fall. 10 seconds on the shot clock now. Alexis Black controls things. 37-19. Working to her right. Black stepping back, slicing, dicing. Going up, she hits the deck hard, and she is down. I think she hit her shoulder. Ankle did not appear to be touched. She will get in. That will bring us to the halfway point of the second quarter for our media timeout. We're actually 3:12 remaining, but Fordham, no answer for Rhodey.
Yeah, Rhode Island, I mean, we saw this in the Duquesne game, like I mentioned. Fordham just a little bit gassed coming. Coach Tammy Reese, she's just been able to adjust to whatever look that Fordham's been throwing at her, and Fordham just has not had an answer on the offensive end to keep pace with this Rhode Island team in the team for the Rhode Island Rams. And Fordham in a little bit of a desperate time now. They need an answer, and they need an answer now.
They do, and I don't know who it will be to ultimately step up, but we shall see as we're going to step aside here. 3:12 remaining, Rhode Island 37, Fordham 19. we bring you back into the Ryan Center. Fordham trailing by 18. They were down 10 at the half, and Rhode Island has really widened that gap. Black went down hard moments ago. She will go to the free throw line, try and get back within 16.
Yeah, great to see her back up, and Fordham, beyond just this game potentially in the territory of being out of touch for Fordham to get the win in this one, but they just have to find something that they can carry into their next game, and one of those things has to be finding Alexis Black in a rhythm, getting her open looks to knock off that rush she's been dealing with in the first half.
Only 3 games remaining, including this one in the regular season for Fordham. They have Rhode Island today, obviously, Davidson middle of the week, and then they travel up to Olean, New York to face Bonaventure next Saturday. Alexis Black, 89% free throw shooter, gets them both to fall, and Fordham will respond with a little bit of a full court trap here on the likes of Veljevich and company, and it's stolen away. Wilson Saltos gets Rhode Island to turn the ball over. She talked about that pregame, going to that trap early and often, but she talked about it in the half court more than the full court. Now down 16, maybe a little bit of a desperation time. Morgan weaving and serpentining her way around easily. Right-hander is off, rebounded by Gray, so the extra possession is no avail.
Yeah, I don't love that shot for Karen Easley, just a loose hook as she's called for the foul there on the drive by DeBra. And Fordham, every time it seems that they have something going, seems like they've unlocked the Rhode Island defense. Rhode Island just adjusts and goes on a bit of a run themselves, and Fordham down by 16. It's a bit of a sad time for the Fordham Rams, looking to make a little bit of noise in the postseason.
Yeah, and you look at the Rhode Island rebounding, 36 to Fordham's 19 total rebounds. So size just playing a huge advantage for Rhode Island, and it's a lot of its mentality. Coach B said it, boxing out, being physical in and around the glass, but no match for the 6'5" Scylla. And Timo grabs the rebound on the second free throw. First one fell for Vital. 38-21, 2:25 to go. Fordham in need of a big run fairly quickly. Morgan from the free throw line gets it to go up and over the 6'5" Scylla.
Yeah, great shot from Tia Morgan there. She's been relatively quiet tonight, and if she can find a rhythm, good sign for the Rams.
Rhodey able to break the full court trap, and Vital slows it down. 2:01 to go. Rhodey up 15. Scylla at the top of the key, waiting to hand it off. Down low to the slicing Brooklyn Gray. Good vision out of the 6'5" center.
Fordham was doing a good job keeping Scylla away from the basket, and just an excellent pass there behind 2 Fordham defenders, and just an easy layup for Rhode Island.
And Alexis Black thought she picked up the foul there on the drive. It was Vanessa Harris playing some stout defense, though, for Rhode Island. Now she goes up to the rim. Scylla, layup, no. Gets her own rebound twice in a row, and Rhode Island converts. The rebounding just not there. Such an advantage of this Fordham team, usually in general, too. It's just not been going their way tonight.
Yeah, just not enough bodies keeping Scylla off the glass, and Rhode Island's really punishing.
The long 2 is good. 58 seconds to go, 42-25. So Fordham's offense has come alive, but maybe too little, too late.
Yeah, and Rhode Island just able to go blow for blow with Fordham.
Ojeda on the drive, and Wilson Saltos is going to pick up the foul. Every time Rhode Island drives to the hoop, practically because of their size, Fordham either has to foul or double team and get a turnover.
Yeah, it's really an unfortunate position, and that is what makes Rhode Island so good. They force their opponents up against a wall, and Fordham left with the lesser of two evils, basically, whether the foul or to let them have the offensive rebound and the easy layup. And it's just a really unfortunate position for the Rams to be in, but it's exactly what Rhode Island game plans for it and executes to perfection.
Ojeda, their first to fall. Rhode Island sitting comfortably here, an 18-point lead, 44 seconds to go in the fourth quarter, and a favorable toilet bowl roll for 2 converted free throws. Celebrating senior day here at Rhode Island. Ojeda with Puente Aires, Chile, VCU transfer. Couple of three-pointers in the first half that didn't go for her. Gotten the shooting going, though. Edwards, step back, trying to get that three-point game going. So effective last game. Omashola handing it off for Easley now at the elbow. Edwards looking around, scanning, catch, shoots, fires, it goes. Maybe they can get her going in the fourth quarter. This will turn around really quick. Dubras uncorks a catch and shoot three, high arcing, and Vanessa Harris is going to be whistled for a foul on the floor. And Fordham will get another chance with the possession of the ball. It was only 12 seconds on the shot clock there.
Yeah, Edwards been really quiet here today, and Alexis Black trying to pick up the final points.
And she's going to pick up an offensive foul. So turning it back over to Rhode Island as Coach B looks at her assistant coach, Jared Wilson, the video correspondent. They will not challenge. You'd think if they were able to get it like 31 to 44, right now 28 they're sitting at, maybe down 13, you're within striking distance, 16 those.
We were able to go on a little 6-0 run.
It'd be really big, but Rhode Island on the inbound there, nothing doing, only 2 seconds left in the clock. Kind of in an inadverse position. They had Scylla basically shooting a three-pointer just inside the line. Would have been a very long two, but end of that third quarter, just couldn't get it going in the start of it.
Look at they scored 13 points in that third quarter, and I think that is a positive number for Fordham, a number that you would certainly take, but most of those points came toward the end at a point where Fordham seemed to be out of the game, and that's just demoralizing. If you're the Fordham Rams, you'd want to be able to you'd want to keep in touch with this Rhode Island team for most of that third quarter, but just really unable to do so. And a potential silver lining here for Fordham is that Rhode Island blew a 7-point lead to LaSalle, and so Fordham, that has to be lingering in the back of Rhode Island's mind, is that, we got to be able to find a way to close games out, and Fordham has a chance, if they're able to knock down a couple shots early in the fourth quarter, to make Rhode Island feel uncomfortable and potentially make this game close.
Just going to have to try and chip away at that Rhode Island lead. But currently going into the fourth quarter, Rhode Island 44, Fordham 28, 10 minutes of basketball left here on WFUV Sports. And we're back here for the fourth quarter. It'll be Dubras to inbound at half court to Vital. Rhode Island up 16, 10 minutes to play. Fordham unable to notch more than 16 points in a quarter, but last game that could show that they could do that. They really heated up. A lot of it in the arms of number 4, Lucretia Edwards. She got a three-pointer to go here towards the end of that third quarter. Gray spinning around, dancing off, and Rhode Island again grabbing the rebound. This time it's Palmyra and Boo getting it over Omashola.
It seemed that Fordham was in great position to get the defensive rebound. 3 Fordham Rams circling around the basket, but the ball just finding a way to end up in Rhode Island's hands, and Boo going to the line, and that's just not the start you want for Fordham. Rhode Island was able to use up most of the shot clock, and then they're still on pace to get 2 points out of the possession.
Yeah, not ideal. 27 seconds burnt there, and 1 point already down. The second one is off. Scylla trying to grab that rebound, was unable to. So 1 point and 27 seconds burned. I think you'll take that if you're Tammy Reese and company every possession down the floor.
Yeah, it's going to be about how can you get Lucretia Edwards going. She had a career high last time out against the Dukes, and she's really only taken about 5 shots here tonight.
Alexis Black trying to get going, and another offensive foul. She can't believe it. That's the second one in a row against her.
Yeah, that's killer. I mean, you love to see the ball go through the hoop, but when the whistle's already blown, it's just a little bit demoralizing if you're Alexis Black.
Not to mention the fact that Fordham already has 2 personals in this fourth quarter. So, going to have to be dealing with that. Now it's Brooklyn Gray backing down Omashola. Able to kick it out to Mbu. Driving, slicing, and no foul called. Good defense there by Omashola. Easily pushes the pace, kicks it out to Edwards. 3-pointer on the way, it's good. There you go, Edwards 2 of 2 on her last 3-point attempts. We'll see if she can heat up. 45-31 and a travel by Mbu.
I mean, out of a series of events for Fordham. They're able to force a tough layup there by Mbu, and then Lucretia Edwards knocks down a tough 3, and then Mbu travels, and Fordham has a chance, down by 14, maybe can cut it to 12 or 11 here, but it's about how quickly can you get your bucket and if you can knock down that shot.
Got to get Lucretia going if you're Fordham. She's been kind of their rock the past few weeks. 10 points, leading the Rams so far. Alexis Black with 8 of her own. And another turnover by Alexis Black. Just not looking like her usual self. Dubras drives, and Black able to plant her feet and take the charge. And she's slow to get up yet again. And she is going to trot over to the bench slowly. Her health has always been up in the air in the past few weeks, it seems like. And obviously when you're playing that physical, taking charges from Brooklyn Gray, you're going to definitely feel it. 8:22 to go. Fordham down 14, 31-45. Edwards, the catch and shoot jumpers off the mark. Rebound by Vital. Rhodey pushing the pace. Now they will slow things down. Vital in and around to Scylla. Wow, just magical basketball.
Wizard-like pass there from Dubras. Just wraps it around there, and Scylla with the easy layup.
Easily driving on Dubras. The right hand with some English. Not enough. As Dubras drives again, Veljovic. Good defense. Thought she got the ball, but did not. Piece of Dubras' arm with it, and she will head to the line. Third foul.
Yeah, it's going to be something to look out for as Fordham tries to play physical defense, force some turnovers from Rhode Island, but they've just got to be careful that they're just giving Rhode Island these free points here. And 50-50 there, whether that should have been called a foul or not, but you just can't really put yourself in that position if you're Veljovic. And Fordham, after going on a little bit of a run here to start the fourth, back still down by 16.
Yeah, a little bit of a run and just unable to manufacture stops and scores. It's kind of been a story for this team. The 4 quarters of play, being able to keep that consistency. I think if that's one word that you had to describe, need more consistency in and out. But not going to get it here. Down 18, 7:40 to go, and an offensive foul on Ornella Nienken on the illegal screen. things just keep getting worse for Fordham.
Yeah, whatever the dimming hope for Fordham to make this game competitive is being extinguished rather quickly, and a lot of it's just been, shooting themselves in the foot, and it's sloppy turnovers, it's missed shots, and it's fouls committed. And Fordham, if they want to get a win, and it was going to be tough here today, they were going to have to play pretty perfect basketball, but they just have not done so against Rhode Island.
Michelle lining up another three-pointer. It's good. Three-point specialist. Michelle. 2 of 2 on the game. And Fordham needs someone to inbound. Mashola running down the court. And Fordham in a little bit of a nightmare here. They're able to get the inbound in. Nobody to hand the ball off to Tia Morgan. Rhode Island's lead has exploded. 21 points. There is a reason why they were receiving votes, Tom. Feed down low to Veljovic, getting the favorable roll all the way around. Back within 20.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect Rhode Island to slow down here. They know they need a statement victory to continue being that conversation for an at-large bid.
And Silla gets it to roll around and in. Back the other way. Like you, statement victory. And when you look at it, there's so much that goes into it, the Ken Palm rankings and quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, quad 4 wins. But when you look at an at-large bid, Rhode Island would definitely be one of those teams that they were receiving votes to most likely get that bid. Dubras back the other way, stolen away from Edwards, laid it in off the glass. Rhode Island's 23-point lead.
And that loss to LaSalle is not going to look great on the resume for Rhode Island, but if they're able to bounce back here, make a deep run in the A-time tournament, obviously they're probably the heavy favorites to take home the crown. There's pretty much no choice but to give them that at-large bid. They beat number 16 NC State. As Veljovic has her three. Unable to connect with anything.
Yeah, and that would definitely be considered one of those quad 1 wins against NC State. Obviously, another loss to Princeton, though, hurting them on their resume. Yeah. Not good. And then statement win here today against this Fordham team that's kind of been battling injuries all year long would definitely put them back into that conversation. So Tammy Reese and company not laying down yet. It's her 5th year at the helm. She's 2-time A-10 Coach of the Year. Crazy enough, a gold medal winner, as we talk so much about the Olympics. U.S. facing Canada tomorrow, but here it's M.A. Michelle with her 8th point of the game. Another drive.
You can really see how Coach Reese has instilled that winning mentality that's really been lacking from Fordham this season. They just haven't been able to victories against the teams that they should win against and make it competitive against the teams that maybe Fordham comes in as underdogs.
And Fordham just unable to grab the rebound. Dubras a little slow to get up. Been nursing her hamstring. Does have some KT tape on the back of it. She will go over to the bench. Probably end her night as well. Rhode Island 58, Fordham 33 here with 4:53 to go.
Yeah, Rhode Island, after that really tough loss against LaSalle, in which they gave up that 7-point lead, lost the fourth quarter by 11 points. They know that the committee and that the Associated Press are looking at those types of performances as maybe a reason to disqualify the Rhode Island Rams from the NCAA tournament. And Rhode Island, with that in mind, has come out tonight, and they just haven't let off the gas. And maybe Fordham could have come back a little bit, but Rhode Island's just really stepped on their throat, hasn't let up, and is probably going to continue that effort all the way until the final buzzer.
Yeah, that winning mentality, as you said it, just a culture thing here at Rhode Island. Only 3 losses on the year, 1 in conference last week, but certainly not going to replicate that here with less than 5 minutes to go. Rhode Island up 25 here at the Ryan Center. back here in Kingston, Rhode Island. Rhode Island really a commanding lead here. They've taken over the game, 58-33, 4:53 to go. It'll be Dubras to inbound the ball on the baseline. And it's out with Mbu now. Dubras getting the screen from Gray, and it's going to go off of Easley's foot. As we were talking earlier, though, Rhode Island, one of those teams receiving votes. They have 41 votes, the most of any team before being in the AP. 25th in the country right now is currently the Alabama Crimson Tide. So right there within a really good SEC powerhouse at a mid-major basketball school.
Yeah, this is a team that definitely can make some noise. They're ESPN complete. A great jumper there from Brooklyn Gray, but ESPN has them right around the 10 line in their current bracket projections, and I think Rhode Island, if they're able to close out the regular season 2 more games after this one, if they're able to win both of those, make a good run in the A10 tournament, they're really going to be set up to potentially host a game in the NCAA tournament, and whether that's the 8 seed or maybe as a 7 seed, and potentially make a deep run in the tournament.
Yeah, and obviously the odds-on favorite to win the A10. Other really good teams out there. You got George Mason, who's looming around. They were the winners last year of the tournament. And, again, like anything can happen. You could see, a Duquesne team or a Fordham team who's bottom of the conference make a run, win 4 games in a row, and ultimately you're in the NCAA tournament. So it's very unlikely, but definitely can happen. That's kind of the way it's structured. March is madness. They say it all the time, and Fordham will have that opportunity. As for Rhode Island, probably looking at getting in either way as long as they win these last 3 games.
Yeah, for sure. With a 27-point lead here today, that's clearly a statement victory in conference and quite a way to respond after a tough loss to LaSalle. But for Fordham, like you said, they've got the ingredients to potentially pull off an upset in the A10 tournament. I know we're about 2 games away from that beginning, but for Fordham, it's just about how can they mix them in the right way and make it a consistent 40-minute effort, because they just really haven't been able to do that. And we talked about the first quarter here today was really great Fordham basketball, limiting shots. They're not going to go. It's not going to be a barnstormer if Fordham wants to pull out the victory. It's going to be a slow-paced, grinded out victory like we saw against St. Louis a couple of weeks ago. And we saw towards the end of the third quarter a strong stretch of play for the Fordham Rams, but it's just been about connecting those and stretching those over 40 minutes. Undoubtedly, you can't play perfect basketball for 40 minutes, but when it's bad for Fordham, it's been really bad, and the best teams in the A10 are going to punish you for it.
Yeah, and this is clearly a powerhouse team in Rhode Island. You're on the road at their place. A little bit of a different story. Couldn't get some baskets to fall in the second and early part of that third quarter. Really been the difference maker today for Fordham and Rhode Island, as Rhode Island just called a timeout moments ago on the floor. 3:27 to go. If you're Fordham, you want to take a couple things out of this game. Clearly, Alexis Black and Precious Omashola both back in limited capacities, though. Not going to see probably both of them, but you want to get them ready to go so that they're clicking on all cylinders for the A10 tournament.
Yeah, Alexis Black, she's played about 21 minutes tonight, and I think that is around the cap of what she was expected to play. And obviously with this game getting out of hand, I don't expect to see her for the rest of the game. And for Fordham, it's just about getting your players in a rhythm offensively. We saw it with Lucretia Edwards last time out against Duquesne. She had 24 points then. She's got 10 points now. She's on the bench, but clearly she's been able to pick up and knock down those 3-pointers. But for the rest of the roster, it's about how can you get going offensively.
Yeah, it's been a story all year. 17-2 run over the last 4:38 for Rhode Island. So already we're up 14 and just trying to add insult to injury, Tammy Reese and company. But never-ending, relentless attitude for this Rhodey team. And despite being up so many, they do not care. So Precious Omashola will inbound to Karen Easley. And DeBraz picks up the foul. There's going to be a wholesale change here for Rhode Island. It was all seniors on the court, and she'll take them all out with younger juniors. 3:26 to go. Pretty remarkable sight here inside the Ryan Center as the crowd comes to their feet.
Yeah, it's just gorgeous arena here in Kingston, Rhode Island. And it's senior night. Rhode Island with a big win. Feeling pretty good. The crowd is into it. They've been in it the whole game. And Rhode Island, just a great way to reestablish herself at the top of the A-10.
Mason Hill gets herself onto the board with a right-hand layup. 35-62. So Rhode Island now all underclassmen on the floor. They got Agba, Vital, Fonsta, Michelle, and Harris. All 5 seniors they mentioned pregame on the bench. Really tremendous leadership, though, for this Rhode Island team. Brooklyn Gray, fabulous transfer from St. Louis out of Rockford, Illinois. Just been a rock for this team. 12.9 points per game, field goal percentage north of 40%. Absolute beast at the free throw line. And if they make it into the tournament like they're expected to, she will be a name that comes up for possibly A-10 Player of the Year.
She's undoubtedly one of the best players in the A-10, but I think a strength of this Rhode Island roster is that if you can take away Brooklyn Gray, there are 2 to 3 other players that can step up in a big way. We saw Scylla today just be that player for them. She had 16.7 of 10 from the field, and I think Fordham does a great job eliminating your top player, but it's about, for Rhode Island, if you want to make a deep run, if you want to make some noise in the postseason tournament, it's about, can your other players step up as well? The other team knows how to game plan for Brooklyn Gray. She's not great from behind the arc, so it's about how can you limit her touches inside the paint. But for Rhode Island, they just show a versatility in the way that they're able to get points, whether it's off offensive rebounds, whether it's from behind the arc, whether it's mid-range jumpers. Rhode Island just does a great way of not being stopped by the opponent.
Edwards on the catch and shoot off the inbound. It's off. Vital pushes the pace. Moving down the court. Omashola able to steal it away. Rhode Island unable to control it. And it's carried up the floor now by Easley. 2:30 to go here. A little bit of a bloodbath. Rhode Island up 28 as Wilson Saltos gets the left-hand lay-in to go. Down 26.
Wilson Saltos did a good job today staying out of foul trouble. That was an issue in the Duquesne game, but I think it was, and we saw the impact that she could have in that first quarter. But as the game got away from Fordham, Wilson Saltos had less and less of an impact, and she's been quiet for the past 2.5 quarters of action.
Yeah, and something you got to take out of this one is Karen Easley misses the step-back elbow shot, is the rebounding. And even though Rhode Island has that size advantage, you can't let a team out-rebound you by 20 total rebounds on the offensive and defensive end. It's not a recipe for success, especially when you're only able to shoot the ball at right around 28%, 29%. You're just not going to be successful with that.
Yeah, Fordham, and at times, we've said they struggle to knock down their shots, but they've been able to get the offensive rebounds to keep them competitive in games. But Rhode Island, we knew that was a point of emphasis for their defense coming into this one, was how do you keep Fordham off the glass? And Rhode Island just has really had Fordham's number here today. And like you said, a minus 22 on the rebounding margin for Fordham. You just really can't be that competitive with teams if you're just getting out-rebounded by that margin.
Easily hits the mid-ranger right off the elbow, so 65-39, 1:16 to go. Harris driving high up off the glass, and another foul. That time it's Kayla Berry picking it up. in garbage time here.
Yeah,
So Rhode Island will move to 24-3, 15-1 in the conference. That's an A10 best.
Yeah, they've just really been excellent, and surprised that they're not at 16-0, picking up that surprising loss to LaSalle last time out. But they do a great job reestablishing themselves, keeping that distance away from George Mason, like you said, in that 2 seed. And for Fordham, they dropped down to 2-14 in the conference, and they're still tied with Duquesne, waiting on that result from that Duquesne game to see if they're still tied with Fordham at the bottom of the conference.
Just under a minute to play here in the fourth quarter. Veljovic, the long mid-range, a couple feet beyond the charity stripe, and Rhode Island quickly transitioning. They're able to get their own rebounds, 67-39. Almost a 30-point lead for Rhodey in a game that was only 10 points away at halftime. Fordham led going into the second quarter. Remember that. They were able to hang with them in the first quarter. Shot the ball really, really well as Michelle picks up the rebound down low, gets it to fall. That lead is officially 30. Edwards, the transition 3 is off, and that will pretty much do it. 23 seconds to go in the Ryan Center. Rhode Island 69, Fordham 39, and this clock will run out here on Senior Day with a convincing statement win for the Rams of Rhode Island.
Yeah, Rhode Island just really phenomenal, especially in that second half. Like you mentioned, Fordham was only down by 10 going into halftime. They were winning in the first quarter, but then Rhode Island really turned it up in that second half, and Fordham didn't have enough gas, just didn't knock down the shots, and you can say a lot of things went Rhode Island's way, and they were maybe a little bit fortunate on the offensive glass to come up with some of those rebounds, but for Fordham, again, just another demoralizing victory, and like we were talking about, we were going to check in on that Duquesne game to see if Fordham can stay in that 13-14 line, but Duquesne's up by 6 heading into halftime against VCU, and Duquesne starting to heat up, and Fordham just going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, and we talked about Duquesne because we had that game last week, Thomas, and they really were not as bad as advertised. They shot the ball really well, and not to mention their best shooter, Alexis Bordas, was ice cold through the first 25 minutes plus of play. So really convincing that Duquesne is starting to turn things around. Most likely will put Fordham in that 14 spot in the A10 women's basketball standings. Now, like I said, nothing really matters until that A10 tournament happens in New York this year. I believe it's in New York. I think last year it was in Washington. So Fordham will fall to 10-17. They're now 2-14 in the conference after today's game here in Rhode Island. They're going to face Davidson at home on Wednesday. Davidson 9-6 in the conference, 17-11 overall. So good team coming to town for their last home game of the season.
Like you mentioned, none of it really matters until the A10 tournament, which is actually going to be in Henrico, Virginia.
Oh, it is in Virginia this year.
And so for these teams in sort of the bottom half of the A10, it doesn't necessarily matter what the seeding is. It's about what kind of momentum you have going into that A10 tournament at the beginning of March. And for Duquesne, they are starting to catch fire a little bit. A team that is shockingly towards the bottom of the A10 after, pretty perennially being at the top of the A10 and always in contention for that regular season title. But for Fordham, they've got 2 games left against Davidson, a strong Davidson team, and then 1 game to finish it out against St. Bonaventure. And for Fordham, it's just about how can you get some sort of positive momentum, because when you look at the box score and when you watch this game, not a ton of positives to take from Fordham. They were out-rebounded. They didn't shoot the ball particularly well. No player had a standout game. Lucretia Edwards, 4 of 11. She hit a couple big shots towards the end of the third quarter and to begin the fourth. But outside of that, you try to look for positives for this Fordham team, pretty non-existent.
Yeah, far and few between. I think the biggest positive Fordham could take away from this is Omashola and Black are both on the right track in terms of injury rehab. Karen Easley is not injured.
Yeah.
It's another important point. But other than that, yeah, it's been pretty rough stretch here for the Fordham Rams, and they're going to have to get it back on track middle of the week against a Davidson team coming to town, a very talented Davidson team that is, and we'll see if they can do that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough matchup for Fordham. Thankfully, they're at home on senior night. Maybe there's a little bit of extra juice that they're able to pull and maybe will them to a victory in that one. And you talked about maybe a good silver lining for Fordham here is that they have most of those players back. Sertal Tata obviously out for the season, and London Lilly out for the season as well. But the rest of the players back. Alexis Black in her first game back wasn't phenomenal. She shot 3 of 11 from the field, but she had a couple of those moments where it was like, that's the Alexis Black that leads the A-10 in scoring. And for Fordham, the best ability is availability, and for Fordham, it's about how can you be healthy going into that A-10 tournament, and most importantly, those players that were injured towards the end of the season, how do you make sure that they're in a little bit of a rhythm and are continuing to mesh with the team? And it's just going to be a battle about how resilient is this team in defeat. And we saw them be resilient in that St. Louis game where they were able to grind out the victory even when the shots weren't falling. And for Fordham, it's about how can you have more results like that where you force the team down to your level and maybe you come out with a victory in a bit of a coin toss.
Yeah, it's going to be the defense for sure, but that pretty much concludes it for us here at the Ryan Center in Kingston, Rhode Island. Rhodey 69, Fordham 39 after 4 quarters of play. Fordham will head back home to face Davidson, and that is what's next up. So long for myself, Dominic Sansone, joined alongside Thomas Tisdale. We wish you a very good afternoon. Stay safe and stay warm with that impending weather on the way.